All right, I'm going off the reservation. I'm going to blow some of your minds. Hang with me. Make faces. Throw things. Ask questions. Tell me you disagree. My son transitioned. I don't often say died. That's the acceptable language. My son passed away. He transitioned and immediately began to visit. Dude, I didn't know it worked that way. I had no religion. I was a coward when it came to death. If anybody I knew was dealing with the passing of a loved one, I wasn't there. I was a coward. I couldn't fix it. I don't know what to say. Before Quentin began to visit, something happened at the accident scene. I was able to forgive the woman who caused the accident. Please understand that comment is not scripture-based. I hadn't read the New Testament yet. I hadn't read the red print yet. What happened to me was, I had an interesting childhood. I saw some stuff. There's a lot of fear in the house. There's violence. Well, as soon as I could drive, I drove like I was insane. And every morning I'd ask, is today my day? And please don't let me take anybody with me. That was my mantra. So when I looked up into Amanda's eyes, and we can talk about that because I got to know Amanda, 21 years old, coming off of college, no drugs, no alcohol. I know for some of you it matters, and you want to ask, so I'll just volunteer that. And I saw the pain in her eyes. I saw the horror in her eyes. I'm holding my son who's passed. There's dirt in his mouth. I've got the pain. I'm bleeding. I looked in her eyes and I saw myself. And in my head, I said, give me that. Give me that pain. I didn't want her to suffer. Not a one of us is perfect. Do I need to repeat that? Not a one, I don't care how self-righteous you are. I don't care if you actually believe that there's a perfect person walking around right now. I'm not going to start preaching a sermon. I'll ask questions though. I'll answer questions. All of us are here to work on something and none of us are perfect. It could be any of us who are driving down the road and we change the radio and look up and there's an accident. Any one of us can have a, oh. So of course I forgave her. I think that act of forgiveness without understanding the F word, without having read the New Testament, without having religion, hear me well. I'm not preaching a sermon. Open things up. It opened me up and allowed Quentin to, well, Quentin was going to visit either way. Yeah, I'm off the reservation now. Talk to many of you. Our loved ones, more often than not, I'll dance, I'll be coy. More often than not, they visit. I want to say they always visit. The issue is whether or not you recognize it, whether or not you're open to it. I think when I forgave, something shifted. I was not a forgiving person. I was an angry person. I can hold a grudge like none other. I put my rage up against anybody's rage. Come on, let's bring it. Something happened. Amari, you able to show the forgiveness slides? Forgiveness is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It's not a box check. Forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve the peace. Not a box check. Did I skip one? I might have skipped one. In any case, somebody should ask the question. No. Harboring unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping your enemy will die. Anybody there? Anybody feel me on that? I've spoken to grieving parents about forgiveness. That's a nuanced conversation. When I talk, I make space for people to attack me. I make space for people to ask me questions. I'm waiting for your questions. Feel free.
When you're doing that, what is the hardest moment you've experienced with someone?
I don't want to say hard, I'll say interesting.
Okay.
I had a woman yell at me. She screamed at me very loudly. And she said, "Are you telling me I'm supposed to forgive?" And I shot back, "No. No, I'm not telling you you're supposed to forgive. I'm not. I'm saying, if you're able to get there, it'll help." My comments are not scripture-based. Please hear me. I hate dogma. I hate dogma. I hate it. I hate the thought of, if you stand one way, everything's fine. And if you stand this way, it isn't. I hate that. You know what? Sometimes the rage is the only thing that can get you out of bed. Sometimes, I'll take that negative vibe and use it for fuel. I'll take it. More often than not now, I'm really beyond that. But as a younger man, I had that conscious thought of, all right, let me convert this rage into something positive. Let me go to the gym. Let me do something positive as opposed to the other. I'm gonna pivot again, but please don't think there's anything special about me because I forgave. I am more flawed than most. My wife, who's a saint, come on. She's been married to me for 33 years. Who the hell would do that? Y'all don't know me, but she does. And she's still by my side. It took her 2 years to forgive. And she is the saint. I'm not. So, don't judge the experience. You get there when you get there. Okay? If you so choose. If you want to talk about forgiveness with me, call me up, reach out, we'll talk about it. And I joke, because I love to joke. You know what? No pressure. It's not a box check. It's like, I have to forgive. No, you can wait till next lifetime. Yeah, and I passionately believe on reincarnation. Let me slow down. I passionately believe in reincarnation, and we can talk about that. You can ask questions anytime. So, my next pivot, how am I on time?
I was just going to ask along those lines, how do you notice the presence of Quentin, and then what is it that he does?
Who gave you my outline? All right, let me answer the question with what I was prepared to say, and then we can see if we need to go deeper. She just wanted to know how I'm aware of Quentin's being present with me. She wants to know about how Quentin visits and how I. Again, I say it. I don't want to have too much self-depreciating humor, but hey, it is what it is. I'm a goofball. Nothing special about me. I didn't know death. I had no religion. Yet and still, I was alone in a room 30 hours after my son passed away. And my hand was being held. There's tissues at every table, almost, except for the two back there. I noticed my hand was being held. And I thought, my hand's being held, and there's nobody in here. And I said to myself, that must be the manifestation of all the prayers. I knew something was going on. It took me a few weeks. Eventually I realized it was Quentin. Obvious question. I've had people challenge me somewhat aggressively. How do you know? Well, my son has the softest hands. And we would always walk hand in hand. He'd walk hand in hand with me, with Sister Cheyenne, with Christine. You know, this fool would figure it out. 5 days after this horrific accident, Christine died at the accident scene and came back. I was hit by an airborne and bouncing car and launched. Christine was driven over the top of. Died and came back at the accident scene. She's out of ICU. She's in her private room, and a friend of ours burst in and shared, I gotta tell you something, dear body together. And just at that, I don't know how many of you have been through that horror. You know, a lot of us, we get into the business of surviving, of managing, of protecting. At that moment, I was at my lowest. I was curled up in a corner thinking, my son's alone somewhere. I wasn't polite. Yeah, when the stuff happens, you gotta grieve. No, I hate to say that. You don't gotta do anything. I suggest you grieve. And take as long as it takes. It's not a race. If anybody ever says, when are you gonna get back to normal? Please slap them for me. Or call me up and I'll slap them. That's the absolute worst thing to say. She burst into the room and she shared a story about a medicine man that walked up to her in the courtyard, the lobby of the Marriott courtyard. This is 7:30, 8 in the morning, and he grabbed her hands, a friend, a very spiritual friend of ours, also named Chris. And he said, I just finished performing a ceremony. And the little boy sent me to find you. And he wants you to know that he's fine. Thank you for the head nod. Some of you are feeling me. He wanted everybody to know he's fine, and everything's going to work out. She burst into the room and shared that. And I went from a really dark place to, wow, my son's alive. Why didn't I know? It was a magical moment. From there, I leapt down the rabbit hole. And we can talk about that another time. I started reading everything I could find, and it was a lot of New Age thought. Read about reincarnation. Why, might you say, reincarnation? What's that got to do with grieving the transition of a loved one? Reading about Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss, or Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. You realize we exist outside this stuff. That's a game changer. That knowledge I carry with me now, and I lean in hard. I know I'm woo-woo. I know there's not necessarily a time for woo-woo. People here who know me and appreciate me know that there's not a time for Ernie and his woo-woo. But when you put the flames out and you work through the grieving process, it's okay to entertain the thought of, how's my son, how's my daughter, how's my mom, how's my dad visiting me? I love that conversation. That's my sweet spot. I'll sit with any of you over coffee or beer, preferably tea maybe. And I'll set the stage. I'll change the vibe by talking about all the ways Quentin visits, and wait for you to say, well, there was this one time something odd happened. It's very strange. Or I had this incredible dream that was so vivid, it was so lifelike. I could see my child's eyes, I could see their hair, it was so vivid. I woke up and I'm like, I didn't understand. It's not a dream. That's a visit. Call it a dream visit, but it's a visit. I'm my own time. 5 minutes? Okay. I hate watching the clock. I'm in the flow. I'll wrap up, and I'm gonna annoy some of you. Guaranteed. I am a life coach. I hope you're not annoyed about that. I am incredibly spiritual. I hope you're not annoyed about that. I've shared a glimpse of my horror and my pain. I've talked to literally hundreds of people, hundreds of parents who have been through the same thing. there's the worst. And I stand before you and I say, there is a rhyme and a reason for what you're going through. That is a bitter pill. Now here's the thing. We watch the news and we see the horror. You just read history and you see what we've been doing to each other since the beginning of time. You watch the news, which I can't anymore, and you see what's going on all over the globe, and you can't help but lose faith and say, what's the point? We can't understand what anybody else is experiencing through social media or through TV. We can't. All that happens is we lose faith in whatever we may have faith in. It hurts to see people hurting. It hurts to see injustice. It hurts. The best we can do if we're lucky, if we're lucky, is figure out and understand why we're here. And here's the gig. It's different for all of us. It's different for each and every one of us. Nobody can tell you your why. I may know you well enough. We may have enough conversations. I can hypothesize. But each and every one of us is here for a reason. And you find it in your pain points. You find it in the, dear Lord, why does this keep happening to me? Why? Whatever it is, substance abuse, learning you're worthy. Why am I always end up in these relationships? Why am I addicted to this, that, so on and so forth? Why can't I love myself? What if, let me not be coy. It isn't what if, it is. You wrote your soul contract. Let me see. You wrote your soul contract. You wrote it. I'm way off the reservation now. Feel free to throw something at me. You wrote. You wrote it. And the pain points is how you learn. Some of you violently disagree with me, but you're being polite. I'm surprised nobody's walked up. I'll meet you in that place. If you want to know more, I'll meet you in that place. I'm a certified life coach and I'm spiritual, and I'll meet you there.
You said something to me that I hope that you'll share with everyone, that is something that has stuck with me for years. Change your story.
Yeah. Change your story. Woo! I posted something on LinkedIn about the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again. Do we do that? Over and over and over again and expecting a different result. We do that. We do that. Each and every one of us has a story. And our story is written and painted through what we saw in life. I was abused. I wasn't loved. I barely survived. We make this story based on whatever it was we saw in life, whatever. And then we don't change our story. We think because of what happened to us as a child, we're not worthy. And that's your story. You walk around and say, I'm not worthy. And I say, change your story. Let me help you change your story. I met with, one guy in particular who's not here, that did 6'5", 350 pounds, big old cat. Been through it, been shot, lived a horrible life. And I said, damn. Good job, man, you got through it. All right, no more looking back. Now we're looking forward. Let's talk about how we change that story. Sometimes you gotta change it all. I mean, some of you are perfect already, okay? Fine. Fine. I see you, I know you're perfect. Some of you are thinking, maybe there's something here. If you got a sticking point, whatever it may be, you know what? I'm here to serve. I mean, I'm sorry, Scott. I am a property manager. I'm a director of this, that, so on and so forth, and Plaza Companies. It's a great gig for me. It's not why I'm alive. I'll do my best I can on the job. I'll support my team as best I can. Maybe try to get some new business, yeah. I'm still alive for you. I'm still alive to serve you. Any more questions? Damn, you're all quiet. No questions? Anybody want to challenge me on there is a rhyme and a reason? Okay.
Talk a lot on forgiveness and you investing in the relationship with the woman who was involved in the accident. Do you think that she was able? I said, do you speak a lot on relationships and the importance of forgiveness and your investment into the relationship with the woman that caused this accident? Do you believe that she was able to forgive herself?
I do. Great question. Thanks for the redirect. We spent 1 year and 51 weeks fighting for Amanda. We fought for her with the assistant DA and the victim's advocate. They came and talked to us, and they're like, we always get people sentenced to the maximum sentence. I'm a guy, so I don't communicate well with my wife.
You're like,
So we're sitting with them in a Wendy's tonight. I hadn't had this conversation with my wife yet. And I looked over at her and I told him, we don't want her to serve any jail time. That's in the second book. So I've got about 4 or 5 of them, maybe 4 of them back there. It's in there. We worked for 1 year and 51 weeks so she wouldn't have to serve jail time. We saw her in the courtroom at sentencing. We held her. I whispered in her ear, we've been worried about you. She did have to serve 10 days. The judge explained. So she knew on some level she served her time. But she had seen our videos, she had seen our victims advocacy statement. She knew we didn't want her to serve jail time. We had breakfast with her 2 months later at her house with her mom. That's interesting, right? Think about the courage she had. She's gone on to live a very successful life. To answer your question, yeah, she's fine. She got it. I feel like I'm leaving you hanging. I don't have anything else prepared. You know, it's the value of BOMA, it's forgiveness, there's more.
As a mother, thinking about a 21-year-old daughter who makes a mistake like that, and you forgave her, gave her a chance at life, that hits me hard. I've got teenage boys that I'm putting out into the world, and that is a worry that you worry about every day when you have kids that start driving and doing that they'll make that mistake and they'll take a life, or that you will. And so, I can imagine Mom's reaction when you gave her child back to her, and her child's life back to her. So it just hit me really hard.
Thank you for sharing. I've already gone way off the reservation. We were in the car with Amanda 2 months later, and we drove past the accident site. And she said, you know, honey, when I was 6 years old, being driven past the site, I always thought, what an awful place to have an accident. What's going on here? The story about the medicine man that I shared earlier, her transitioned grandfather was a medicine man. So when I embraced her in the courtroom, she's crying, she's babbling, and she wanted to know if he was the medicine man who came to our team to let us know Quentin was fine. There's a connection there. And these are things that we're in the world of business. We don't understand these connections. Us fellas, we don't. What are you talking about connection? What does that mean? Yeah, you know when you know. You know when you know. That was odd. What's this connection between us? I had that connection with some of you. It's like, what is this? we're connected in some way, and Christine and I are connected to her family.
I mean, you mentioned that, you know, the connections and that we have, you know, soul contracts that we have written. I know that you experienced signs before your son's transitioning. Can you tell us more about that and how, like, after you realized that there were signs that what was going to happen?
Every sign was an epiphany. Holding up my hand was a big one. The message from the medicine man to a member of our group. I didn't mention the dream vision, did I? I don't think I mentioned my dream vision. Before the dream vision, I saw Quentin in his room, and I was awake. Highly unusual. This is my son's earring. I don't do body piercings, but I'm damn sure gonna wear my son's earring. So I'm in the bathroom, cleaning the earring, just gotten out of the shower. Across the hall is Quentin's bedroom. I'm looking in the mirror. There's something about reflections. Do your own research. There's something about mirror gazing and reflections. So I'm in the mirror, the steam's dissipating, and I see him walk across this room. I stop. I saw my son walking across this room. Nobody can take it from me. Nobody can take it from me. I challenge you to. I'm still waiting for that person. You can't take this from me. I saw my son walk across this room. Dream visit 4 months later. It's over the top. One of the ways I grieved, which is very different than my wife's, is I spent time in the gym. I mean, I just was all in. I was 45. I could still bang. I could still lose some weight. This one particular morning, I'm like, nope, I'm not going to the gym. And laid back down. It was about 7. I closed my eyes and boom. Suddenly, I'm at the back of the house. Raised ranch, east side of the house. Details, east side of the house. The sun must be in the western sky. I see the shadow of the rails at my feet, and I see a hooded figure. And I'm like, I turn around, and I see my son. He whips off his hoodie. I see his face. I see the expressions on his face. He was surprised as I could see him. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, it was all a nightmare. Here he is, everything's fine. And I start shouting, Quentin! And my son's spirit, he knows what's going on. Each time I shout his name, I get closer to being awake. Quentin! He rips off his hood, jumps over the balcony, the rails. Quentin! And I wake up, and I catch him and I feel him. Most amazing, incredible sense of peace as I'm holding my son's spirit. You know what? You can think I'm crazy all you want. I've talked to so many people who've had similar experiences. Sorry, y'all. This is the norm. I know we're afraid to talk about it, but hey, I'm a grown-ass man, and I still got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. Damn it, I'm gonna talk about it. And if you don't like it, we can talk some more. Any other questions? All right, there's a couple cards at each table with a QR code. Reach out any time. I'll close and just say I'm here for you. If you're dealing with stuff, if you want to talk about signs, you want to talk about grief, you want to talk about why the hell am I here, and you really want to find out, call me up. Thank you.
Thank you.